Welcome to another week of Bible time. This is the Monday edition, and we are continuing the Believers Fellowship daily Bible reading, going through the book of Psalms. And we are learning some really valuable lessons by listening to these songs, these ancient songs inspired by God and recorded for us in the scripture. And I am glad we're coming to this psalm today, Psalm 110. We're just going to look at this one psalm, 7 verses. That's all we're going to talk about here today. Like I said, I'm glad that we are, because we live in a day where the governments of the world are in confusion. There's so much happening there. There's no way they can keep on top of things. We don't seem to have the kind of leadership that you need to really provide what the people need. And so there's all kinds of issues going on, and people have all kinds of questions that are happening, particularly here in our country, and even the events of last week with the snow in Texas and the questions about how things were handled. That is constantly going on. Well, our hope is not in this world. Our hope is not in human leaders. Our hope is not in governments or politics. Our hope is in the Lord. And the day is coming, as Psalm 110 tells us, the day is coming when the Lord is going to return and rule on this earth. And that's the day when the rule will be perfect on this planet. This is a psalm that speaks exclusively about the Messiah. It's referred to 9 times in the New Testament. Every time it makes it clear that this is a reference to the Messiah. And in the first 3 verses, you see him presented as the divine king. He's the divine king. He is deity. Right now, he's seated at the right hand of the Father in heaven, waiting for his enemies to be made his footstool, waiting for the day when he will come and win a decisive victory. That's the idea of putting him under your footstool. And it says in verse 2 that he will return to Zion. That's in Jerusalem. He will reign there. That's the idea of the scepter. He will reign from there. His people will serve him willingly. And that's the day when Christ is going to come and literally, physically rule on this planet. And verse 4 reminds us that he's not only the divine king, but he's the eternal priest. He's a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. If you were with us in our studies in Hebrews 7, you'll understand the connection there to Melchizedek and how that's related to Christ. This is how he got a people, by being their priest, making a sacrifice on their behalf, purchasing people for himself, saving people perfectly for himself. Those people are going to rule with him in his kingdom, and they're going to do so happily, voluntarily, willingly. They are going to rule with him. And the end of the book of the psalm refers to him as the victorious warrior. He's the divine king. He's the eternal priest. He's a victorious warrior. Verse 5, the Lord is at your right hand. He will shatter kings on the day of his wrath. He will execute judgment among the nations, filling them with corpses. He will shatter chiefs over the wide earth. That's literally going to happen. Christ is going to return. There's going to be a great battle, and he is going to win decisively, beating his enemies. Some people today are trying to say that that's not a literal thing, but there's no other way to understand it. That's made clear throughout the Bible. And how else would the people originally reading that have understood that other than this is what's going to happen? And verse 7, the idea of him drinking from the brook by the way, he'll lift up his head. That's just a picture of victory. That's the post-victory refreshment right there. So that's where our hope is. This is where our confidence is. It's not in the rulers of this world. It's in the one who's to come. Now, we don't know when that's going to happen, but we do know it is going to happen. So the way things are in the world right now, this is not the final condition, and that's okay. We are looking forward to that perfect day when Christ comes and rules on the earth. What a great way to start off a week. What a great way to start off a Monday than to be reminded that Christ is the divine king and he is coming to win a great victory and rule on this planet. That's something that should lift up your head. That's something that should encourage you. That's something that no matter how bad things are right now, we know the end of the story. And so we have our hope in him. So let's live for him today. Let's voluntarily, willingly serve the great king even today. And we'll see you tomorrow for more Bible time.